It's just a temporary like ego band-aid.
What is something that the average fan does not know about their favorite artist?
But I think the key to pursuing excellence is not focusing just on the thing you're trying to be excellent at.
How do you figure out your identity outside of this whole thing?
You will love what you do for the first couple of years, and then you will realize it doesn't love you back.
Grace.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the Pursuing Excellence podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for asking me to do this.
Of course.
I'm super
Of course.
excited.
Of course. So before we get started, before we go into your story and we tell everybody what you do, I want to know, why do you think you're here? Why do you think you were called, not on earth, but why do you think you were called to the music industry?
That's a good question. Why do I think I was called to the music industry? Honestly, and you asked me to be honest, I think that I've always had a very open hand with my work in the music industry, and I feel like that's been my like superpower. I think I've been called to the industry partially because of that, and if I can explain, it's just like the entertainment, like some of these like big industries, I feel like you get caught up in them so easily. And I feel like God has given me like a superpower ability, not always, but most of the time, to like be willing to let it go and at any moment. And I feel like that is one of the reasons why I'm called here, to be able to be impartial, to have a willingness to do the work in a way that I feel comfortable with, and not because it's the way it has to be done. I feel like I'm being a little bit confusing with this, but
No, I don't think it's confusing, but I have some follow-up questions. Okay, so you talked about being impartial. Impartial to what or who?
I think there's just like a very specific way things are done. And like with everything, like there's from the way like albums are A&R'd to like what decisions are made on the road. And I feel like my calling has always been like whatever God is asking me to do in all of that, and not just what makes sense. And so I feel like that's where I've like God has given me an ability to be impartial, or maybe partial to whatever he's calling me to do in the moment. I am knowing that like the decisions that I make don't necessarily like always make sense in music industry standards, or even for my own financial good. And that I try to just, I fail sometimes, but I try to be obedient to God and just whatever it is that I'm doing, instead of doing the thing that makes sense most of the time.
Yeah, I can see that in the things that I know about you and your career. Maybe they don't make sense, or they're not the industry standard. They make sense to me, at least to some degree. They make sense in a different way than maybe other people would try to make sense of it, if that makes sense.
I think so.
Okay. A lot of things making sense.
I think the love thing making sense. It makes sense. But I feel like I'm being a little bit vague and confusing to start off. But I just think that the reason that I've gotten to where I am is because I've been able, I guess a way easier way of saying it, the reason that I've gotten to where I am is because I'm able to make risks, or to take risks, and to do things that don't necessarily make sense, but sometimes pay off.
Yes.
And I'm not doing that. I'm not taking those risks in a way that's like, oh, I hope this is going to pay off. I'm doing it because I believe this is the right thing to do. And there have been many moments like that where I have taken those risks, and it's taken me either to another level, or to an opportunity, or to failure. And that's why in a shorter way to answer that, that's why I feel like I'm called to the music industry, is because I've been willing to take the risks that I feel like God is asking me to take, and not just risks that I feel like I'm doing because it might pay off. I don't think they're always going to pay off. I'm just trying to be obedient.
That's powerful. That's really powerful. Okay. I think maybe we should get into what you do, because I have a lot of questions about what you just said too.
Okay.
So, Grace, what do you do and why?
So I have been in music management and some types of like tour production, but mostly music management since 2014. An agent before that, very briefly, but basically it's been 11 years now that I've been in music management, and I do it. Well, I've had different whys. So
Okay.
can I give my why for now?
Yeah.
Like why it is currently?
Yeah, for sure.
I do it because, and I feel like this has become kind of a cliche answer in the music industry, but I'm going to say it anyways, is that there are so many things wrong with the music industry that I feel like I just want to play a small part, even if it doesn't change everything. I just want to play a small part in doing it in doing my job in a way that feels authentic to me and hopefully is helping one person through like a very confusing, tumultuous industry.
It is confusing and tumultuous for sure. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, like long version, short version, medium version.
Give me whatever version you want. Let's go either medium or long.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I originally, I always loved entertainment. In college, I didn't pursue that as a career because I didn't really have a lot of direction at the time, honestly. And I also felt like God was very clearly telling me that that was not something I was going to be doing at that moment. And instead, I went and did a master's degree in Spain in sociology of law and society, which I loved. And I came back and was like, I'm going to study this. I'm going to be an academic. I want to do a PhD. I want to write policies. I want to, yeah, I was just like, I wanted to be an academic. And when I finished my thesis, I came back, I was back in the States, and I just was like, was like painfully bored. And just realized like this was not the career for my personality type. The like sitting in like not an office, in a library studying and writing, it was like cool for like a week. And then after that, it was painful for me.
I can only imagine.
And like not talking to people, not seeing people, like not really having conversations. It just was like, this is not for me. And I felt like once I finished my degree that I felt like it was like I had this release, like this spiritual release, to go ahead and try entertainment. And in my brain, and this is how I do believe that God has given me like a sense of wisdom as like a gift in some of this. Like
for sure.
I knew that I wanted to do that, but I had no connections, not a soul. I grew up in Orange County, so like I'm peripheral to LA, but like totally foreign to me. Like the industry, I just knew that I was obsessed with it and loved it. And so I just thought like, what do I do to start? And I was just like, the logical first step was for me to get someone to let me work for them for free and as an intern. But like in my mind, it was like, I have to let somebody let me work for them for free. Cause this was like 2012, 13, where I don't know if anybody remembers this, but there was like the Black Swan intern lawsuits around this time.
Yes.
And so there were like very clear laws for internships at that time, and you had to be doing something. You had to be in college. I don't think this is the same thing anymore. I don't think that I don't know, or maybe they're just more relaxed now. But like you had to be in college getting college credit. You could not work as an intern outside of college for free. They had to pay you. And I was like,
that's still a thing for sure.
Okay. So I was like, no one's going to pay me. So I just need to find a company that will not follow this law. And so I found this like company like on entertainmentcareers.com. I interviewed at a bunch of places, and I ended up going up to this like guy's house in Studio City like once or twice a week and helping him with like breakdowns for his actors that he managed. Whether or not it was a real manager, I have no idea, honestly. Like I have no idea. They had real clients and they were booking them. So I just kind of like stayed at this guy's house and like learned how to do breakdance.
It's as real as it gets.
Yeah. And I did that for about like 3 months and I was like, that is enough of that for me. So let me just see if that was enough time for me to get an assistant job and see if I can start applying.
Uh-huh.
And at this time too, I was coaching like competition cheer. And that was always really important to me, like performance and competition and like just all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't a lifetime job. Like I wanted to do that just while I was in this in between time.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's I mentioned that because it comes important later. But so I did end up getting a first assistant job as a mailroom like agent and training program at Abrams, which is like a mid-level agency at the time, and it's not around anymore. But I got into that job. I remember there was a typo on my resume, and I went and met with Harry Abrams, and he told me there was a typo on my resume and how he would never hire anybody who would like be so like what's the word I'm looking for? Careless to let there be a typo on their resume. I was so embarrassed, but it's so on par for me because that's me. And he was like, but I'm gonna give you a chance anyway. And so I just thought in my mind, like, what a miracle. Like, I'm going to get a real job now. And so this was like 3 months after starting this journey. I got a job there and it was on Sunset, like in the Soho building.
Move that a little bit.
Move this over here.
There you go. Just like turn it a little bit.
There?
Yeah.
Okay. So it felt real.
Mm-hmm.
And then things like escalated quickly, I guess you would say. After that, I was in the mailroom for a minute and then I got put on a literary desk, and then the literary agent I was working for left. And so I was like back in the mailroom, and then I got kind of picked up by the dance agent, one of the dance agents, well, actually the only dance agent there at the time for this department they had called stage entertainment, which was essentially hiring like creative directors, lighting designers, costume designers, anyone who would do that, but for like live performances.
Yeah.
So they did like the Olympics and like the World Cup halftime show and like, sorry, I'm talking to my Katy Perry's tour and Usher's tour and all these different things. So that was like my first intro to music, where I thought that I just didn't know what part of the entertainment industry I wanted to be in before. And that's when I realized like, oh, music is what I want to be in. Like, this is what I love. But it became for a very specific reason after that. So anyways, I got promoted really quickly to being an agent there within 6 months, which was like unheard of at the time. And it was just because my boss went on maternity leave and they needed someone to fill in for her. So I think I was just like a last resort. But it worked out all the way around. Like, I got to know the actual job of being an agent very quickly. And I was so grateful for that because I hated it. And I was just like, man, am I glad that I was able to learn that I hated this in 6 months instead of like 3 years.
That's actually such a gift.
Such a gift. I just remember being so grateful at the time that I was able to realize that I hated it. And I feel like more like it's so important to realize early what you don't like.
It is. And I think that's equally as important as learning what you do
100%.
like. Yeah.
So, I after I realized I hated it, I remember I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And this is like a year and a half into my I'm gonna do entertainment journey. And I lived close to the Grove. I went to the Starbucks at the Grove and just started journaling, and again, like, felt like God just gave me some wisdom and was like, write down what you would want your day to look like in order to feel like you have a fulfilled life. And so I felt like it was pointless for me to write down like aspects of my dream job because I really didn't know. So it was like more aspects of my dream life. And it was like, I want to have time for my family. I want to, or actually, I think that now that might not have been on the list then. I want to travel. I don't want to be stuck to a desk. I want to mentor. I want to be a good influence on people, like young people specifically in the entertainment industry, like teenage age, girl, like just, I really had this idea at the time, not this idea, but like I remember seeing, this was like around the time of like Miley Cyrus bangers and
Oh yeah.
like Selena Gomez and all this stuff happening, where it just, you saw that cycle once again of like the Disney girls being like propped up and then pulled down.
Yeah.
And it was just really breaking my heart. Like there was something about that that really tugged at my heart. And so like in my mind, I kind of had that in like my vision, but I wouldn't didn't want to say that out loud. Was just like I wanted to be a positive impact on like someone that might be facing that. Because I naively felt like I had all the answers at a ripe age of 25 years old, and like I would be able to save them and like stop so much
Been there.
harm and from happening. And I was like, yeah, I just really thought I really thought the world of myself, apparently.
That was me at 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I wrote down these things, and I wrote at the bottom, like, man, is this a manager question mark? Is this a producer question mark? 'Cause I really didn't know what those jobs were, honestly. And then a couple months later, actually, I've told this story a couple times. I don't actually remember the full timeline of this, but I know it was all close.
Yeah.
And I was at a church like worship night. They were setting up to record a worship album for church. And the woman that was setting it up, I was just watching her, and I was like, wow, I want to do that. And then I ran into her at the Radio Disney Awards. I went to the Radio Disney Awards on behalf of our agency, who had a lot of creatives work on the show. And I ran into her. She was managing a band at the time. And I saw her there, and she came up to me and was like, we should have lunch sometime. And I was like, yes, we should. And this was after I had written down my list of things. And we had lunch, and she basically was like, I guess it's fine, but like she said, we need a day-to-day for Fifth Harmony, and like I think you would be really good for it. And I was like, please take me away, like make me a bird so I can fly far, far away. Like I wanted to get far, far away from the agency. And it just, because it wasn't just my cup of tea. And she told me that she wanted to interview me. And that process from like her saying like we may have this position open up to like interview to getting actually hired was like 4 months long.
Wow.
And I thought that this was gonna God put this in my heart. This is gonna happen right away. And it was like I didn't actually know if this was gonna happen or not. It dragged on a very long time. And in that time, like the talent agency that I was working at were like, look, your boss is coming back from maternity leave. We don't want to put you back down to like an assistant. You need to stay at being an agent. So which means you have to like start signing your own clients. And that was something I felt very like wrong. It felt like it was not right to me, because looking back, I'm like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. But at the time it felt huge to me.
I get that.
Like it felt like it would be so wrong to say that I'm going to like be this creative person's like advocate when I had every intention of leaving as quickly as humanly possible. And I just was like, they've worked their whole lives, to get to this point where they're at an agency, like, and then they get someone and then I leave and then they have to figure out where their place is in this agency again. And it just felt very wrong to me, like doing that, like it was lying. And so I remember really struggling with it. And I went into my boss's office, and this was one of those like risk moments that it didn't feel like I don't know. It felt big at the time, but it just was like the right thing to do. And so I went into my boss's office and was just like, look, I have to be honest. I don't actually want to do this. I'm going to leave as soon as I can. And if that means, because usually at agencies, like they walk you out that day, like security walks you out. They don't want you stealing anything. So as soon as you say you're going to leave, you're gone. Like, it's not like you get like a buffer time.
Right. Yeah.
And I was so broke. Like they just, I was so broke. So I just knew, like, I don't know what I'm going to do if I get kicked out today, but I know that this is the right thing to do. For me. So they ended up not kicking me out, and they told me I could stay as long as I wanted, and that they would spend as long as I was there, spend that time trying to get me to stay.
That's so rare.
It's very, very rare. And I was so humbled, and like, just like, I was like nervous. And I also was like, don't do anything. Cause I'm like a very, like, I'll give in. And I was like, no, that's okay. Don't try to get me to stay. Cause I know I don't want to. And it's going to take a lot of effort for me to like keep saying no. But I did, because I knew that it wasn't what I wanted. And so, yeah, they let me stay knowing I didn't have another job. I was like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know that this is not the right path for me. And, but thank you so much. This was an amazing opportunity to help me understand what I do want.
Yes.
Just like very grateful to them, like for what they did do for me, giving me a chance when I had like nothing on my resume at all.
Yeah.
And so, they ended up, I did end up getting hired by, on Fifth Harmony's team. And I put in my 2 weeks notice. I'm going to leave. I'm going to go start doing management. And, so they let me basically sit there and hang out until my 2 weeks were up, basically.
Literally unheard of.
Yeah. And then in that time, a week into my 2 weeks notice, I came in, my whole department was gone. Like it had dissolved. And so if I would have stayed there any longer trying to make this thing work, because that was my shot, like it would have been over. Like I would have not had a shot. It would have
been a bummer.
And I would have had to go find another job or get like changed it or move into an assistant role in another department.
Yeah, that's Providence.
And yeah, so I started with Fifth Harmony. That was my first artist, and then I stayed at the same management company for about 5 years, working on various like really amazing projects, like things I'm super proud of, tours I'm super proud of, current artists that are like super massive today, nostalgic artists that were super massive years ago. Just things like, I mean, this was an artist that I didn't work on, but like I worked on this tour where Boyz II Men was a part of this tour that we were working on, and they are like my all-time number one artist of all time. And I was getting to do like a press tour with them and getting to just do some really, really amazing things during that time. Like was so unreal and humbling. And at the same time as all of this was happening, like my career was being kickstarted in this amazing way. I also realized very quickly within the first, I'm not kidding, like 6 months of me doing this job, that I realized like the version of success that everybody else was reaching for was not right for me. And I felt that very fast. I felt that in like the first major, like I remember big like award show party I went to, like every celebrity you can think of at the time. And I remember sitting back and looking at everyone and just like being like, it felt like this curtain was drawn back and it was not as cool as I thought it would be. And it also was quite sad to me. Like it just felt like I could feel everybody's like insecurities and pain, and like just that this was not, it was not like you think behind the curtain is like just beauty and fun and all this stuff. And it was like I could feel the insecurities in the room, and I could feel the sadness, and I could feel the emptiness. And I just remember thinking like, this is cool, but I think for me success is going to look a little bit different. And since then, that is how I've always operated, but it hasn't always been easy. Like I'm definitely tempted to want the mainstream version of success all the time. Like I'm tempted to go after that all the time because you want to be seen as a successful person.
Yeah.
But I realized in that moment, like I didn't know quite what success would mean to me yet at that time. I just knew that it might not look like success to everybody else. And so, yeah, I did that for 5 years. Then being a day-to-day manager, which was my role there, it's a grind, and I traveled a lot and was in person a lot. It's like every fitting, every music video shoot, every photo shoot, everything.
Every tour date.
Every tour day. Later on, I didn't do every tour date, but like it's just like travel, press shoots, international press, like lots of flights, lots of miles, lots of all of that. And I just got to the point where I had just started dating my husband end of 2018. And I just remember being like, to me, this is success. Like, I want to make sure that my family, and I know that he's going to be my family. I want to make sure that that is my priority. So from right now, where I know that this is going to be my husband, like my priority is my future family. And so I immediately started making decisions to make that apparent and to make sure that was like known, I guess. And that meant like really pulling back on like as available as I was to spend time with him, just to date and to have fun. And like, honestly, it would seem really, again, it's one of those decisions that doesn't really make sense. And people would probably look at that and be like, you could have done both. Like you could have, he was going to be there anyways. And he didn't care. And he, loved that I was like so passionate about my career, but it wasn't because he was asking me to. It was because I knew that if I didn't make that decision, I was never going to put my family first. And so
That's huge.
I knew had nothing to do with what we needed even in that moment. It was like setting us up for our future.
Yeah.
And so I know that didn't make sense to a lot of people. And once I realized that it really wasn't making sense in the context of my job, I also knew that like, this is a job. Like I do a service for a paycheck. And if that doesn't work for them, if this isn't working anymore because of where I'm placing my priorities, I'm fine not doing it. You need somebody who's going to give you the level of service that you need. And so I quit and didn't know what I was going to do. But before I left, I told God, like, I know you're asking me to leave. But in order for me to leave, I need a very specific amount of money, like, so that I can at least make it for the rest of the year. Cause I wasn't really getting like a severance that would cover much. I wasn't really getting anything that was like really going to take care of me. Like I should have gotten a job immediately after. But I was so burnt out. I was so tired. I was so like mentally drained. I had nothing left. I had no idea who I was because I had given all of myself to my career, which I was very proud of at the time. But once I decided not to do that, I was like, oh, I don't actually know who I am. And so I really felt like I needed some time to figure that out. And so I was like, God, if you want me to leave, I really need you to provide by a miracle this specific amount of money that I know will take me through December, as it was May. And so like miraculously, I knew I had to quit anyways. Before I knew this money was coming in, I quit anyways. And then about like not even a couple days after I quit, I got a check for my first commission from like another client for that exact amount of money.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, I guess this is the right decision. And yeah, I really just wanted to make a mark. Like up to that point, my life had been my career. And so I needed to like put like a standing stone at this point in my life that was no longer going to be the case. That like my family, my future kids, my husband, like whatever, like I just didn't want to be one of those like people who got to be at the executive level and really didn't like pour into their family life. And so I was like, I'm going to make a decision no matter how broke we are. Like, this is what I need in my life. I'm going to give my life to my family first and then job second. But I will always love this. I didn't stop loving it. I didn't stop. I needed a break from it.
Yeah.
But I didn't stop loving it. And so, like around February. So I left that company in middle of 2019. Our top of 2020, like right when COVID was happening, I started getting calls to manage other clients and it kind of like slowly just naturally formed into a management company. I wasn't intending to set out to like have that. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I ended up at the time with like 4 clients, I think, and was like, I think this is like a full management company now because I have 4 clients. And I ended up doing that. It's called Post Oak. I ended up like making that into a corporation and doing that whole thing. And I still have that today. It's transformed into different things along the way. But in the beginning, it was like, if I'm going to do management, then I want to do this in a way that is right for me, which means like it is not success at all costs. It's not like Grammys or bust. It's like I want to work with people who want a life for themselves and they want to create great art in a business. So like finding that balance and of like being able to make money doing what you love, but not like sacrificing everything to get there. Like that's all I wanted was like, I just don't want to have to sacrifice everything. And so if that's not possible, if like this system is too much, if it's too fast, if it's already too ingrained, like, and I can't do that, that's okay. Like I'll do something else. But let's try, like, let's just see where it goes. And there were really hard years and there were really great years, and I was broke and then I was not broke. And then it was just like so many different things where I really gave a lot into that.
Yeah.
I started a nonprofit with another amazing woman in 2020 called Tour Support, which then we absorbed into what is now Backline. And so I really felt like I was fulfilling all these parts of me in management and in mental health within the music industry. That was really important to me. I started speaking on panels at the time, and that's where we met.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah. And about like, it just was really important to me. Like my experience with these young artists where I had set to help them, and I had like really suffered in my aim to like help them, where I just realized like this is so much harder than I thought it was going to be when I was like at the Grove writing out what I wanted to do. Like I was wrecked at the end of, you know, my time as a day-to-day manager. It was, and really pursuing these like high level talents was like, I was just so exhausted and so wrecked. And so, I don't even want to say jaded, because I don't really think I was jaded. I just needed a break.
Yeah.
But in my mind after that, it just kept giving me more hope and hope and hope. Like there has to be a different way. There has to be a different way. There has to be a different way. And
sorry, can we put a pin in that?
Yeah.
A lot of people could have experienced that and gone, oh, this sucks, and there's no way that I'll ever do this again because there's no other way to do it because this is how it's always been done. What was it, or what is it that makes you think or know there's another way, that there's a healthier way to do this?
I think it's like unfounded confidence. I think I have like delusions.
No, come on.
I mean, I do think that's part of it. I think that like I was raised to be like, have like a true unfounded confidence in myself, which I like attribute to my parents.
That's beautiful.
But it's like really hard to crush my spirit.
That's amazing.
And I mean, it was crushed, truly. But at the same time, like I look at that and I think that there's just, it's like that. I also like, I mean, it's a confidence, but it's also like me believing, like having a true childlike faith that like anything is possible with God. And I truly believe that, like in my soul. Like, so even on the hardest of days, like it's possible God doesn't do that. And that's fine. But like, it's also possible he does. So why not try?
Yeah.
And so I just said, why not try? And like, I just figured like, what worst case scenario, I end up working as a barista, like I'll survive.
Yeah.
Like worst case scenario, I live in an apartment for like a decade and figure it out later on, I'll survive. Like at least I tried.
Yeah.
At least I tried to do what I wanted. And I would be so upset with myself if I never tried.
Yes.
And
that's so brave.
So it was like, yeah, we lived in an apartment longer than I wanted to. And it was like, life was hard. But at least I tried.
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky to have like an amazing supportive husband who was like, yeah, go for it. Do it. Like, we'll figure it out.
That's incredible.
So yeah, I mean, since then it's just like built in me this like belief that things are going to get better. This belief that like this system that I've seen wreck so many people, wreck myself, the fast pace, the no sleep, the competition, the like survivalist mentality, my autoimmune disorder that I developed, and then like just everything. It just like this crazy belief that like one day it can be better and I want to be a part of that. And so like, well, I don't believe, like, I think I just want to now like help future like future artists like be better equipped to jump into the mechanism that is the music industry, because it is in reality a damaged mechanism, and I have not fixed it. I have not. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yet. And so I want to help future like younger generation people be better equipped to jump into it. And then I also want to continue making whatever incremental changes that I can to make it better. And like, if I fail, then that's fine. At least I tried.
That's so wonderful. Anybody that's listening right now that knows me and is hearing that last part of what you just said is probably thinking, well, no wonder they're friends. And that's one of the reasons, for sure. For sure, that's one of the reasons. There are a couple of things that you talked about that I want to touch on. One is identity, and the other is success. So you were talking about when you were wrapped up in day-to-day management and basically had no boundaries, and you developed an autoimmune disorder. It was overwhelming and it wrecked you. You said when you took a step back, you had to figure out who you are because your identity is maybe wrapped up in that only. What did you do to figure out who you are? And I was just having a conversation with another manager about this yesterday, and he was like, I'm starting to realize that my identity is wrapped up in this whole thing. And he was like, I've heard people talk about it and how it's important to not do that, but I don't know how. And I'm curious from your perspective, if you're talking to him manager to manager, how do you figure out your identity outside of this whole thing?
I mean, the hard answer is I really don't think that I could have without letting it go. And I think I had to completely let it go and like let my like my ego be in a place where like people might not see me as valuable anymore because I'm not as closely as close proximity to like something cool. And I had to be able to let it go and start to like build up my value from somewhere else and then be able to take that into the future. But truthfully, I don't think that I could have done it without letting it go first. And even having those couple of months where like I didn't know if I was going to stay in or go into education or go into something else. Like I needed that time to like fully release it and build my identity back on my faith. And build my identity back on something that was sturdier than a career. And that, I mean, truthfully, I do think that like, you know, I remember the whole time that I was a manager, always checking in with myself. Is this my identity? Is this my identity? How do I let it go? So I was checking in with myself a lot, a lot. And so there would be days where I'd be like, oh, I let it happen. Like, this is my identity. And so I would like the things that I would do would like try to mentally in my mind be like, can I release it? Like, what if I let it go today, who would I be? And so I would just try to like, before I actually let it go, I would try to mentally play that out. And if I was like, my grip was too hard, I would just like pray through like God releasing my grip so that it didn't like, if it did ever end, it wouldn't be so painful. And I think I was also just trying to like, even though I did a terrible job at it the first couple of years, acknowledging that like I had to have things outside of it to know that like when and if I did leave, that I had this life outside of it. And I really didn't. I had to build that back up, honestly. But I still had like family, friends to go back to. And like sort of like I did have to do some rebuilding. But I think it was just like always trying to, one, always checking in with myself, two, praying through anytime I did feel like it was my full identity, and then three, actually letting it go.
I love that. I love that. One of the things that I've talked about, and I actually I did a podcast episode on this, really short one, like 20 minutes or something, on identity and career and separating that and creating some distance. And one of the things that I talk about in the video is asking yourself kind of a similar question, like, who am I outside of this thing? Who am I outside of this career? Am I a mother? Am I a brother? Am I a friend? Am I a son? Am I a daughter? Whatever. What are those things that are permanent? Because this is not permanent. And a child of God, like, who am I? Who am I really? Not just who am I in the thing that I do. And I think I know in music and in sports as well, and other realms of entertainment, it's easy to get our identity wrapped up in this thing because we've been doing it for our whole lives, or we've been a fan of it our whole lives.
I think especially too, and sorry to interrupt you,
go
but I
ahead.
think especially too, I'm thinking about it like I went from being in college and like my identity, like you have your identity in high school of like what group you're in or what you're
Yeah.
good at. And then in college, you find that again. And then it becomes harder as you like get into these bigger
True.
ponds. And so, especially when you are like allowed in to like work at like in something like entertainment or politics or fashion or like these things that are forward facing, you feel the sense of pride in yourself like, oh, I get to do something that other people will value. And it's really hard to disconnect that,
Yeah.
to be like, the one thing that other people see gives me value. How do I not see that for me? And like trying to constantly strip that back takes so much discipline
It does.
and so much practice. But I think there's nothing more important than that, especially when you work in an industry like this, because like I tell like the students that I work with now, like you will love what you do for the first couple of years and then you will realize it doesn't love you back. And that is so painful. But if you can realize along the way, like you can love it, but you also love other things and you have like this full life, it's not as painful when you realize like just a piece of it isn't loving you back.
Yes.
Like a piece of your life isn't loving you back.
Yes.
It's not as painful.
100%. I love that. I love that. And I agree wholeheartedly. It's hard to reckon with the idea of loving something that doesn't love you back. And especially when it's the thing that takes up 90 to 100% of your thoughts, your energy, your efforts, your day, your time, everything. So on that note, you were talking about succeeding and not pursuing success at all costs. And earlier we were talking, you said something about like, I'll make sacrifices, but I'm not going to sacrifice everything.
Yeah.
What do you think is worth sacrificing to reach your dreams, achieve your dreams? And what do you think is not worth sacrificing?
Honestly, like I think about it in terms of like, and I'm sure somebody else did this separately from me, but when I was in college, my mentor at the time was very clear that like you can say that you're the 100%, you're giving 100% to your family, 100% to your career, 100% to your job, like whatever school, whatever it is. And he was like, you mathematically only have 100% to give. So no matter what, when you give a piece of yourself to something, you are by decision, by default, taking away from something else. So in my view, it's deciding ahead of time. Like the best way is to decide ahead of time how much I want to give away. So like the sacrifices that I determine, I try to predetermine. And that can mean like, usually for me, it's like a week by week thing, not like a life moment thing.
Yeah.
Like it's like this week I have a dinner I need to be at. I have to do this office thing. I have to go do this podcast. I have to do these things. And that's how much time gets taken away from other things. So what do I do to give value back to the other things that are important to me this week, just this week? Like how can I give an extra bit of something to my son if I'm gone more than I usually am this week? But the sacrifices, I mean, mostly it's our time, right? Like most of what we're giving is our time.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's where I see like, yes, I do have to sacrifice my time. When I am here, I take away time that I'm with my son or not with my son or not with my husband or not with my parents or not, like with other friends or like outside or, like playing a sport or having a hobby. Like everything is taken away from this moment right here. And so it's just deciding what I want to sacrifice that week. And I always try to even it out, at least between my family, meaning like my husband and my son, and my work. Outside of that, I'm still not good at like the balance of it all. But I try to have at least a good balance between those two things. And that's because those are my two priorities. It's my mission, which is my career, and then my family. And then like I try to do as much as I can with friends. I'm still not very good at it, but I'm getting better, I feel like. And
I think so.
Having friendships and having hobbies and doing those things because like the truth is like I love running, but like it is harder with the age my son's at right now. And so I sacrifice some of running to do other things at different points in my life. So I have to sacrifice a lot for this mission that I have, but I will never sacrifice everything. Like I'm not going to sacrifice bedtime for the most part. There are some nights where I do have to, but I'm not going to give both days on the weekend. I usually will have one. You do have to sacrifice a lot of your time for this. Like, it's not like a 9 to 5, it's a lifestyle, but it's for me, like, figuring out the balance and then also pulling my family life into my work life wherever I can.
Yeah. It's really important to know ahead of time what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're not. Because if not, then you have to learn by doing, which is a harder way to learn.
Yeah. And that's what I tell students too, is like, if you don't decide, it will be decided for you.
Yes. Yes, definitely. When talking about success, we talked a little bit, or you mostly talked a little bit about the ego and wanting to look successful because you're in proximity to these people. And something that has helped me to, I want to say, be more humble about that is when I hear people, or when I'm talking to people and they ask me what I do, one of the first questions that I get is, who do you work with? Or would we know anybody that you work with? And I think there's an innocence there where people are just like, oh, that's cool.
Or just
who would I know?
To ask you?
Yeah, exactly. Or they don't know what else to ask me. And I think also sometimes it's like a way to gauge how successful are you. Because if I said X celebrity who's an A-lister, people would think I was very successful. If I said a client, one of my songwriter clients that nobody, or that somebody, an average person hasn't heard of, they might be like, I don't know who that is. You're probably not that successful. And so anyway, the thing that helps to keep me a little bit more humble is I can't say who I work with. And I noticed that when you were telling the story of your career, you didn't say all the names that you worked with, and I won't say them out of respect. But that idea that, oh, I've worked with this person, or I have this person's name in my contacts or whatever. People think that's cool, and people think that that's a measure of success, and it feels cool sometimes. And there's that ego side of it where if that's what's really important to us, that's really like a shaky foundation. So if we don't measure, you and I don't measure success that way, how do you measure success? And you, sorry, this is a long one, but you talked about failure, and failure is something that I think a lot of people struggle with. And you said you do things not because you think it's going to pay off, but because you're being obedient to God. And with the idea of being obedient to God and embracing failure the way that you do, which I think is so excellent, embracing failure, being obedient to God, and pursuing excellence and not just the world's idea of success. How do you define success, and what is it that you're really pursuing when you pursue that success? Does that make sense?
No, it's a good question. And I think, like, I'm not always super honest with this because I don't work with a lot of Christians. And so usually it's just like, my easy answer is like, oh, success is that, like, I have a well-rounded life. And so that's like, that's true. Like, success to me is having a well-rounded life, meaning that, like, I'm available for family parties, and like I get to work really on things that I love, and I'm making a difference in people's lives in the music industry. But I also, like, am there for my dad's birthday, and like that's success for me, is that like I get to do both. Really, like, my real answer, if I'm being like super honest, is, which is like hard for me when this is a podcast, because I'm not very like open about this, but I think the real measure of success for me is just that I never have to say that I never have to feel that I've been disobedient to something that God's asked me to do. And so as long as I feel like I've been obedient, I feel like I've had success. And even if that means losing things, even if that means like it doesn't always look pretty, or, you know, my family is the most important thing, but then I have to miss family things. Like, if I'm being obedient, then I feel like I have success. When I know that I'm taking an easy road, I can feel that I do not feel good I do not feel good at my job. I do not feel good at as a wife. I don't feel good as a mom. And like I say all these things like I'm like the best at it. I'm not. Like it's just top of mind for me. It's just like the filter that I run things through, and it doesn't mean that I filter it through that well all the time. I don't. But I try.
What you're saying is you're human.
I'm human.
Yes.
Yes, I'm human, but I try. And that is my true measure of success, is like, what today was I obedient?
That's so beautiful. I almost got a little teary. It's so beautiful, and it's so challenging, especially when, again, it looks different from what other people might think makes sense or what other people might think is successful, but you know that you're successful, and and it's really between you and God.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a hard one to display.
Yeah, it is. And again, like, I don't want to say like that I never like have a temptation to be like, I worked with this person, like I did this and I do this
for
and, like,
sure.
that temptation is there. Like I still am tempted to like let people know that I'm cool and like that I work on cool things and that like
We're human.
work hard, like that is there, but it doesn't actually fulfill me.
Right.
It doesn't at all. Like it doesn't actually fulfill me. That fulfills this need in me, like this very human need in me to be seen as like not even successful, but like to be seen as someone significant. That's a much better word. Significant. Like, so yeah, that temptation is absolutely still there for me to be like, I do good things. I do cool things. Like I am good at my job, and I want people to know that I'm significant. And at the same time, like it doesn't actually fulfill me. Every time I've ever posted about something that I do on Instagram, it gives me anxiety. Like I don't actually, I want people to know, but I don't want to tell them.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure.
Like I want someone else to tell them, you should hear what she's working on right now. You know?
Yeah.
But like,
that's why it took me forever to do this podcast.
Yeah, it's so hard. Like I think of all these things that I want to do, and like I don't actually want to be, I want to be seen, but I don't want to be seen. And but again, like that is a human temptation, but it doesn't fulfill me, and it never has. So it's just a temporary like ego band-aid.
Yeah. Ooh, an ego band-aid. I like that. Yeah. I'm going to use that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, I want to be mindful of your time, and I still have about 400 questions. Okay. And I know so for those that don't know, I bring Grace into my classes to speak to my students because, as you can hear and see, she has a lot of important experiences and a lot of great things that I think the world needs to know, which is why you're here. Yes. And I always have so many questions for you because A, because I'm just curious as a human, and B, because you just have so much wisdom to share. So, okay. Anyway, I'm going to jump to some of my next questions, and I was writing notes as you were talking, as I usually do. Okay. I almost want to go rapid fire. Okay. And I can edit out this next question. Okay. Do you believe that the music industry is a dark place? Yes. Okay. Why would you work in a dark place?
Why not? I think like it's difficult, and it's like there's challenges, but, and this is a cliche answer, but like how can there be like any light in a dark place without like bringing light? And I just feel like I don't have a problem with that. Yeah.
You're sitting on a hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
Light of the world. Okay. For somebody who maybe makes beats in their bedroom or is a songwriter and nobody knows it yet, how would you suggest, let's say they live in like Oklahoma, nowhere near the music industry, how would you suggest they start to break into the industry?
I mean, 100% just using our handy dandy internets. It's so basic now, but truly that is the way the world works at the moment, is market yourself on the internet, really hone in your craft, first, and be amazing and find what is going to set you apart, and then just go hard. Like really managers, labels, everyone that's on your like team, once you get there and once you start getting a team, are like buying into your business that you've already created. So create a business for them to buy into. By any,
That's
yeah.
yeah, that's good. What about somebody that wants to break into the industry as a business person?
As a business person, I would say like the route that I took, 10 out of 10. If you have no connections, it's like start climbing the ladder from the bottom and get on the first rung, which is like get
Yes.
an internship and be like, can I work for you for free? Find a tour manager and be like, can I come on the road for free? I guarantee there are so many tours out there that would take tours. I don't know why I said it like that. Tours that are out there that would take a young, hungry person that will just come like take pictures and like run social media
Yeah.
or just run and get lunch every day. Like just find someone to let you learn with them.
Yeah.
Like most of these jobs in the industry are apprenticeship based jobs. So like find someone to learn from.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, finish the sentence. Before pursuing a career in the music industry.
Oh my gosh. Before pursuing a career in the music industry, pray.
Yes. Yes.
For real.
No, for sure.
Yes.
For sure. Okay. How about this one? While pursuing a career in the music industry.
Pray. No, I actually really mean that. Like if you're a Christian, I would say like don't ever, you feel like you don't have time. Like you don't not have time to like continue to pour on
Poor.
to cultivate your own relationship with God
Yes.
throughout the whole process. And like don't ever lose that drive to pray, to continue to like create your relationship with God and grow your relationship with God is a better word. And for anyone like outside of like spiritual terms, which I feel like I should talk to too, like while you're in the music industry, I would say do other things outside of the music industry. Like on a
Yes.
practical, non-spiritual side, like get a hobby.
That's not music.
That's not music. Have friends that are not in music. Find a best friend who's like in healthcare.
Yeah.
Find a best friend who's like a kindergarten teacher. Find a best friend who's in construction or in the trades. Like that is how you will last.
Yes.
Is by getting some perspective and having friends from all walks of life.
100%. Could not agree more. Could not recommend that
Yeah.
more. Yeah. Healthcare, kindergarten teacher, real estate agent, whatever they
Whatever
do.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. My next question is I'm trying to decide which
Rapid
one.
fire.
I know. I said it was going to be rapid fire. Okay. What is something that the average fan does not know about their favorite artist?
That they read most of the comments that are on social media. And I think artists have gotten a little bit better now in 2025 about like shutting off social media, but like they see a lot more, even when they don't mean to. They see a lot more, and that it hurts. Like it does affect people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely does.
And it inflates them too, both.
It can't do one without the other. If the praise brings you up, then the hate's going to bring you down.
Yeah. And it's like, even for me, like I would never, looking back on this, I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to be a pop star.
Of course.
And
Didn't we
looking
all?
back on this now, I'm like, thank you, Lord, for not giving me a gift of a voice, because I would not be able to, it is really hard. Like I would not be able to handle it. I'd read those things and be devastated. I'd read the things and be like, yes, I am amazing. Like I know me, I feel like I'm a pretty strong person, and I would have a really hard time with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would too. Especially at a younger age, not knowing the things that I know now. I would be done for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. This might be my last question.
Okay.
And I say might just because I make no promises. Okay. Grace, what do you think is the key to pursuing excellence in any career?
Ooh.
But for you, let's say for you first.
Okay. I really, honestly, like maybe this is just like my life mission, but I think the key to pursuing excellence is not focusing just on the thing you're trying to be excellent at. And I feel like people will hear that and think that's really stupid or counterintuitive, but you have to focus, like to be excellent. Yes, you have to put in your hours. You have to You have to, what is it? What does Malcolm Gladwell say? Like the
10,000 hours.
Put in your 10,000 hours. Like, be great. Like, learn it. Really know it inside and out. But while you're doing that, give yourself time to do other things. Because I think it's really hard to truly be in excellence when like there are so many pieces of your life falling apart.
Yes.
Because you pursued one thing.
Yes. Yeah, I would argue it's a pursuit of excellence in that one thing, but then the rest of your life is in shambles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. Grace, thank you so much
This
for
was so
sharing with
fun.
me. Thank you for taking the time to come out here.
Yeah.
And I admire you just as a human outside of what you do for work, because of the way that you pursue excellence, because of the way that you're so obedient to God, because of the way that you trust God so much, and the way that you care about the people around you. So thank you for sharing your heart with me, thank you for your friendship. I'm really grateful to know you.
Thank you. That's so sweet. And same. Always. Thank you.
Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the like button or leave a comment. I'd love to hear your feedback. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that the next time I put out a video, you'll be the first to know. I'll see you soon in the next episode.